Hey everyone, in this video I want to go over the writing assignment that's coming up, and I'm going to focus here on the essay option, and in a separate video I will focus on the annotated bibliography option. Okay, so first of all, the objectives of both options are to think more deeply about and develop a richer understanding of one of the masterpieces of African American literature, and also to develop your skills in analyzing and interpreting literature. These are things that you're already doing in your discussion posts each week and in reading each other's discussion posts, but this gives you a chance to do this in a more sustained, deeper way with one of the texts. Okay, so you have two of these due this semester, and I've updated the due dates. So the first one will be due on November 13th in about a month. And for this first one, you must pick either one of our two novels. Remember, a novel is a book-length work of fiction, so you'll be picking The Underground Railroad or Song of Solomon. The next one won't be due until December, and that one you can write about any other text that's in our reading schedule. For the grading, I've updated that in our assignment. Instead of doing a traditional grading scheme, A, B, C, D, and F, I'm going to use what's called specifications grading. If you meet all the requirements for the assignment or exceed them, you will earn credit for the assignment. If you do not meet all the requirements, then you will earn the equivalent of a D, or 65% of the points out of 100, okay? No credit would be for major plagiarism or just not doing the assignment. Why am I doing this? Well, there's a lot of research on this practice that shows that students tend to do better when they aren't worried about letter grades. There's a research on how letter grades stress us out and maybe prevent us from taking risks and exploring and pushing ourselves the way that we could. So I hope that this kind of grading will allow you to relax a little bit, not worry about getting a B or an A, and instead focus on doing the best work that you can. Okay, so in this one, we're going to talk about the traditional essay assignment. So I want to go into our home page and go up into content here in D2L, and the first module in weekly content is the course information, syllabus, and so on. If you scroll down here, you'll see the writing assignment document. Okay, so at the top of the page, it reviews the objectives and the due dates and topics and the grading. Okay, I want to emphasize this part to you here, that I am here to help you with any part of the process. So let's say that you know you want to write about Cora, but you don't exactly know what you want to say, but you're thinking about something you wrote about maybe in a discussion post. I can help you if you'd like, brainstorm and figure out what you want your thesis to be. If you want me to look at a draft of your essay, all you have to do is make a virtual appointment with me or come to campus if you can and meet with me. I'm happy to go over drafts with you. I would just want to meet with you to do that. Okay, please don't email me your draft. All right, but seriously, I don't want you to feel like you're doing this alone, because I am here to help you. Okay, there's also the writing center. So your formal essay allows you to dig deeply and explore your own thoughts more about the text. All right. And you're going to want to focus on a specific part of the text, just like I encourage you to do in your posts. So perhaps you want to focus on biblical references in Song of Solomon, or perhaps you want to focus on Milkman's Journey, or perhaps you want to focus on how Whitehead uses history in The Underground Railroad. There's all kinds of different possibilities, but you'll want to narrow this down. And then eventually you'll want a thesis statement, your argument, the main point you want to make in your essay. When you're writing a literary analysis, your thesis statement should be debatable. You don't want to point something out that's obvious to all readers, because there's really no point in just saying the obvious. You're not just writing a summary of what happened, you're providing your own insights. And your thesis statement is the heart of what you're saying. This is really a kind of persuasive writing, right? Where you're going to offer your own take on what you read, and then you're going to use your explanation and textual evidence, quotations and examples to support that thesis. So these are the things that you'll need in your paper, okay? Now remember, when you're using quotations, to be selective, don't overdo, and introduce and integrate those really smoothly. Page 6 of the syllabus tells you a little bit about that, and I'll show you where you can find more resources in a minute. Okay, and then of course it's an essay for a college English class, a 200 level college English class, so you need all the basic English 101 stuff too. So let's take a look at this rubric here. A passing essay, one that meets expectations, is going to meet these areas in content, structure, using textual evidence and conventions. Okay, so basically you're going to provide evidence of reading and the ability to analyze literature. Some points might be a little bit vague, but generally your content addresses the assignment. Okay, you're going to demonstrate general comprehension of the text. You're going to have a clear and interpretive thesis statement. In other words, not just a statement of fact, but your own ideas. You're going to begin to support it and generally stay focused, and so on. Please read this rubric more carefully. Notice if you want to exceed expectations, you'll see that you're not just doing the basics, the general stuff. You're going to do things in a more in a stronger way, right? So you'll notice adjectives like strong, insightful, and so on in the exceeds expectations category. If you do not meet expectations, notice there are words like lacks. You're missing important things. Your explanation is poor or minimal or confusing. Your organization is poor and difficult for readers to follow, and so on. Okay, I want to then show you somewhere else where you can go for resources here. Let's go back to the table of contents and look at, I'm looking at the menu bar here on the left side where it says writing about literature, resources. So I've got some different handouts here. Writing about literature is one that you should look at. And this just basically has it reviews some of the things we've already talked about, and it goes over some basic things like how when you're writing about a novel, you should italicize the title. In MLA format, which we use in college English classes, italics mean that it's a book, where quotation marks mean that it's a short story or a poem. So that's why the Underground Railroad and Song of Solomon would be in italics. Little things like that, okay? I've also explained how to cite sources. This is, again, also on page 6 in the syllabus. When you have a page number, you provide the page number in the parentheses and put the period outside. You don't need to repeat the author's name if we already know it. So you won't say Morrison's name every single time, because in the introduction, I'm assuming that you will have said Toni Morrison, so we'll know it's her. Okay, you aren't going to be writing about poetry quite yet, but there's information here for later if you need it. And then remember to do the quotation sandwich thing, right? You build your sandwich. You lead into the quotation, you give us the quotation or paraphrase, and then you follow up and show why it's significant and how it supports your thesis. Okay, there's some more things here that I'd like you to pay attention to. Let's go back though to these resources on writing about literature. There's a couple other things here. And then I've got a sample essay on a novel we didn't read this semester called Quicksand. It's an amazing novel. This is an older sample, but I really like it, so I decided to make this available to you along with my commentary in the margins. Now, notice the rubric doesn't say anything about having an MLA heading. So it's nice to do that. It makes a good impression if you remember these little formatting details, but they're not nearly as important as the content. Notice in this introduction, the writer is introducing the main character, the title of the novel, the author's name, a general summary of what the novel is about, right? So it's getting the reader oriented in the topic. But this leads to a very specific thesis about this character. And I know this is a little hard to understand when you haven't read the novel, but you can trust that this is a pretty cool interpretation of this character that wouldn't be obvious to all readers. So this shows the writer's original thinking about the topic. Notice too that in this entire essay, there's really good structure. One major idea is explored in each paragraph, and then there are examples, quotations, and so on. Notice here again how the quotation is followed up on to show why the reader or why the writer thinks that the quotation is important. Okay, so you can take a look at this sample in more detail, and let me know if you have any questions about it. Okay, remember, I am super happy to help you with any stage of the process if you, whether you write an essay or an annotated bibliography. But I do want you to take this as an opportunity to explore something in one of the novels and later in the semester, any other kind of text that we've read that you want to learn more deeply about. Maybe it's something you wrote about in a discussion post or something you thought about, something that a classmate observed that you'd like to think more about. This is your opportunity to do that. And don't forget to let me know how I can help you. Okay? Have fun with this, and I will see you in our discussions.